Welcome back to New Rockstars. I'm Whitney Van Laningham, and one of my biggest questions after seeing Black Adam is, how the heck did Amanda Waller get even more power? What exactly is she doing at that underwater black site prison? Who does she have in those liquid coma chambers? And how did she get the world's greatest heroes into her good graces? Today, I'm gonna do my best to take a sledgehammer to the wall and speculate on what's happening with Waller's shady career. Let's kick things off with a quick little rundown of everything we already know about Amanda Waller's current standing as the head of Task Force X and director of R.G.U.S. This woman has an ironclad career, dudes. I got fired from Haagen-Dazs when I was 16 for giving out too many free samples.
You're fired!
Waller tried to cover up Project Starfish and Project Butterfly, and somehow she's still employed with full health care? Wild. The first time we meet Viola Davis's Waller in the DCEU was all the way back in 2016 Suicide Squad, when she founded Task Force X in the wake of Superman's death. Although her beta test team went off the rails when Enchantress escaped and turned the citizens of Midway City into Power Ranger putties, Waller proved that she was adept at covering her tracks, even if it meant executing her own team of agents in order to keep her mistakes buried. In order to keep this particular whoopsie a secret, she struck a deal with Bruce Wayne, a top-secret file containing information on several metahumans, including future Justice League recruits, in exchange for his guardianship against prying whistleblowers. During this meeting, Waller let Bruce know that she knew his identity as Batman, but he shrugged off her implied threats by warning her to disband her Task Force X project. Fast forward to 2021's The Suicide Squad, and Amanda Waller has reinstated her Task Force X project to cover up the US's involvement with funding the experimentation of Project Starfish, while also assassinating an anti-American dictator in the process. Once again, Waller was completely fine with her own men getting shot, and sometimes she was even the one doing the shooting. When Savant decides to bail on the beach massacre, she blows his head off with a nanobomb simply because he got scared, and sheds absolutely zero tears as the majority of the first wave of Task Force X is slaughtered. On top of that, she blackmailed Bloodsport by threatening to imprison his teenage daughter at Belle Reve, additionally insinuating that she'd also recruit her for the team someday. And when Starro rampaged Corto Maltese, Walter only cared about making sure that none of this could be traced back to the US government. She instructed the squad to leave all those innocent civilians, including children, to die at the hands of a Cyclops starfish from space. Luckily, Waller was knocked out by her own crew so that the team could save Corto Maltese from the kaiju wreaking havoc on their city. Bloodsport and the other surviving members blackmailed Waller, agreeing to keep quiet about America's involvement and hers in exchange for their freedom. As punishment for their betrayal in aiding the members of Task Force X, she transferred agents Harcourt and Economos to Project Butterfly, along with Peacemaker, Clemson Myrn, and her own daughter Leota Adebayo. Their goal was to take out an alien race dubbed the Butterflies, along with the cow that they used as a food source, which they succeeded at. But in the aftermath of their victory, Adebayo goes public with information about A.R.G.U.S, Task Force X, the plot to pin everything on Peacemaker, and her mother's very active hand in all these schemes. This was the last we saw of Waller prior to Black Adam, and my assumption was that Amanda Waller would finally be removed from her position as the director of A.R.G.U.S and held accountable for her numerous crimes against humanity. At the very least, she'd lose access to her Belle Reve Suicide Squad recruitment program, right? But after seeing her role in Black Adam, it appears that Amanda Waller is still gainfully employed somehow, and is working with Agent Harcourt again, despite Harcourt's kinship with the 11th Street Kids. In the second act of Black Adam, Kahndaq's current champion Shazams himself back to normal and agrees to surrender to the Justice Society of America. The JSA takes him to an Arctic supermax prison complex hidden deep beneath the sea, which has much higher tech and security than Belle Reve. At Belle Reve, you could still bounce around a rubber ball in the sunshine. Here, there is absolutely zero way to reach the surface without a waterproof stealth plane or superhuman swimming abilities. So how did Harcourt and Waller land a job working at an even more super secret lockdown facility after Project Starfish and Butterfly were leaked? Not only do they appear to be cordial enough to work together again, it seems like they've actually been promoted to working with stronger and theoretically more dangerous prisoners. I've seen some speculation online from fans who theorize that Black Adam may take place before the events of Peacemaker, especially because the movie's release date was delayed a few times. I can see where these theories are coming from. It is a little weird that Waller is on good enough standing to run another much stronger prison, but I don't think that this is the case. For one, even with Black Adam's delayed theatrical debut, this movie was shot and produced several months after the filming of Peacemaker began. And two, although the DCEU's timeline can get confusing at times, they're usually pretty good about specifying when there's a time jump or a flashback. Basically, if this scene was supposed to take place prior to Peacemaker or even the Suicide Squad, I think we'd know it for certain. Which means that somehow, despite Adebayo spilling the tea on Task Force X, Amanda Waller is still entrusted with the regulation of super beings, which to me means one thing: the wall had leverage. It's possible that her exit strategy involved utilizing the agreement she made back with Bruce Wayne all the way back in 2016. But her continued involvement in the publicized Task Force X isn't something Wayne would seem keen on letting slide. It seems like the only language that Waller speaks is blackmail. So my guess is that she has even darker secrets about those that could take her down than they had on her in Task Force X. This is a woman who always has a backup plan and an exit strategy. Also, even though A.R.G.U.S blew the whistle on her mother on public news, that doesn't mean anything substantial actually happened to hold her accountable. A.R.G.U.S statement was a plea to have Waller's role in Project Butterfly investigated, but if an investigation did happen, who's to say that they found Waller at fault? There are plenty of real-world examples of internal investigations going nowhere, especially when you have influential people in your pocket. Although, if I've learned anything these past few years about political spin, Waller would likely have to discredit her own daughter by throwing her under a bus, which isn't exactly out of character for her. If Waller was able to get control of these allegations through blackmail and influence, then it's possible that she may have even pivoted her failures into successes. Her team stopped Enchantress, her team stopped Starro and saved Corto Maltese, and her team stopped the widespread body-snatching invasion of butterfly aliens. Sure, that's not the whole story, but that's all something that Waller could Sharpie out of the narrative with a few strategic redactions. I'm gonna let you in on a little secret. We haven't dropped new Rockstars merch in 2 years. 2 years! But now we've partnered with EpicHeroShop.com to finally get some new gear available. In anticipation of this moment, we pulled the audience a while back so that we could include items you want, like crop tops! That's right, show your stuff in this bad boy, available in tie-dye or black. You also wanted enamel pins, and we got those. These collectibles are numbered 1 through 500, and once they sell out, they are gone. Think of them like NFTs, only, more real and less scammy. There's also a new hoodie to show off that you know what the internet cares about right now. And if you're feeling casual, we've got 2 flavors of tees, mineral wash and oversized. Snagging some merch from Epic Hero Shop is the absolute best way to support the channel, and wearing that merch is the best way to spot other fans in the wild. So wear it to screenings, parties, or just for everyday new Rockstars host cosplay. Recreate these iconic shots and tag Epic Hero Shop to get featured on their page. Get everything you need to be the stylish nerd you know you are at EpicHeroShop.com. I also have a theory about what Harcourt is doing back in her good graces. I actually think that Waller might be transitioning Harcourt to Rick Flagg's former role, the field leader of Task Force X. Although her victory against the Butterflies was a little messy and she definitely almost died, Harcourt did rise to the occasion as the head of the 11th Street Kids after Myrn's death. Technically, she's gone 2 for 2 on successfully killing space creatures, and although she didn't play by all of Waller's rules, she's earned her respect. And if Waller needed to discredit her daughter, bribing Harcourt with a massive promotion might have been one of her better options. Harcourt can be practical, so even though she befriended A.R.G.U.S, if the wind was already blowing against her, she might have chosen a safer bet. Also, it might be worth mentioning that the comic basis for Harcourt was actually a double agent working against Waller. Russian agent Amelia Harcourt seemingly has few similarities with her American DCEU counterpart, but it could be possible that Harcourt is taking a pragmatic opportunity to align with Waller so that she can take her down once her evidence is ironclad. What I am confused about, however, is why Hawkman agreed to work with Waller to take down Teth Adam at all. His whole thing in the movie is that he believes that real heroes don't kill, but if he hates people who kill people so much, why work with Waller? Obviously, the JSA wanted to stop Adam from hurting more people, but they took their direct orders from a woman who doesn't even blink when her own crew members bite it. That's like if Ted Bundy told you to tell Jeffrey Dahmer to stop murdering. Could she actually still have Batman and thus the superhero community still in her pocket? As I said, I find that hard to believe. My best guess is that Hawkman's adherence to justice may have blinded him to Waller's misdeeds. If Waller did face her daughter's allegations through trial or investigative committee and she came out on top, Hawkman may accept her innocence. This is in conjunction with her position in keeping metahuman threats who have been found guilty in lockdown. But then there's the big flag-covered elephant in the room we need to address: Superman. According to Waller's implications, Superman showed up to have a little chat with Black Adam on her behalf because he owed her a favor. But what could that favor be? It's not like she can blackmail the Man of Steel. Maybe he felt bad for showing up late to the butterfly party and offered to do her a solid the next time to make up for his tardiness. Honestly though, it seems like Supes is just a really nice guy who likes to do sweet things for his homie. He did show up to Billy Batson's high school just to make the Shazamily look cool in front of a bunch of nose-picking teenagers. My guess is that he either owes her for her role in assembling the Justice League, which led to his revival, or that she appealed to his mortal weaknesses by taking care of Martha or Lois in some way. Or she's housing a problem that Superman can't yet solve in that black site. Maybe she has Doomsday's corpse locked up? Which brings me to my next question. Who exactly are the other prisoners stored there? As the JSA drops off Black Adam with his new heavily armed babysitters, Harcourt muses that, although it's said that the gods created us, we're the ones who always wind up burying them. When she calls these guys gods, does she mean people with superpowers, or does she mean like actual gods? Because storing a couple of gods in there would make sense, even if the majority of the prisoners aren't quite as high-powered. The JSA and Waller obviously knew that Black Adam is too dangerous to store in a prison for villains like Harley Quinn or Peacemaker, and made a conscious choice to bring him to the black site. Inside a water-filled tank and suspended animation with a tube down his throat for all eternity, Black Adam wouldn't be able to harm anyone in his anti-hero form. This hardcore restraint device likely wasn't available at Belle Reve, and it's a lot harder for a villain to escape with thousands of tons of water pressure barring them from the surface. Because of its beefed up security, I think that it's safe to assume that the other prisoners held in suspended animation are at a similar level of risk to Black Adam, if not a smidge weaker. I mean, no disrespect to the folks on the Suicide Squad, but they're not exactly invincible. We saw this dude catch a missile with his bare hands. He survived something that should have given him the Pete Davidson treatment times 10 billion. And let's be real, even powered down, Adam could probably find a way out of there with his chiseled jawline alone. Bringing more god-level beings into the DCEU isn't unrealistic. Shazam 2: Fury of the Gods promises to introduce us to the Daughters of Atlas and the realm of the gods itself. It's entirely possible that other godlike beings have been defeated and captured off-screen in the DCEU and are now being held at the black site. Perhaps even Atlas is imprisoned, which would explain the Daughters' anger with Billy siphoning their powers. Alternatively, it's possible that Amanda Waller could be building out a more powerful metahuman Task Force X out of here. Her track record has a lot of duds, and she might be working on an upgrade. If you notice, there are some rather large containers in the background here. So if these prisoners do end up being a future Suicide Squad, we might see members from Task Force XL. This more muscular iteration of Task Force X includes Parasite, Giganta, and Solomon Grundy. Parasite and Giganta can get real big, so it's possible that they're in these tubes. My other guesses for these big specimens include Chemo, Cinderblock, and like I mentioned before, possibly even a regenerating Doomsday. But who do you think that Waller has all walled up? Let me know in the comments below. Follow me on Instagram and Twitter at Whitney Puppy, follow New Rockstars, subscribe to New Rockstars for more analysis of everything you love, and thanks for watching. Bye!